Hello, and welcome to the Homeschooling and Loving It podcast. I'm your host, Jamie, your friend at homeschool.com and homeschool mom of 6. Join us as we keep it real and chat about the ups and downs of this amazing adventure we call the homeschool life. So grab a cup of your warm favorite and a comfy chair and let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 12 of the Homeschooling and Loving It podcast. Today, we're talking about something pretty close to my heart. We're going to talk about character training. To start off with, let's just chat about character training in and of itself. First of all, character training is an absolutely vital part of parenting children. Great character doesn't just happen. It's intentionally built, and as parents, we all desire to teach and train our children in the way they should go, but that takes work. Real hard work. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. How we can do this, do it right, and determine to keep at it consistently. So why should we character train? Well, parents, our task is not easy. In fact, it's the biggest, most difficult task we'll ever tackle. We've been given these children. They're a blessing from God. But with that huge blessing, and we are responsible to invest in them. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it." This training task is also something we need to be proactive about. We can't train our children well when we're only teaching them in a heated, reactionary moment. Training must be proactive and not reactive. The best lessons are intentionally taught with an eye toward building lifelong habits. These heart lessons, rooted and grounded with a biblical foundation, are brought to fruition when the child's heart has been reached. Build that strength of character that will see them through the tough times. It's an example of just how important reaching the heart of our child is. Proverbs 4:23 says to keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Well, how does character training make a difference? I hate to be Captain Obvious, but character training builds good character, right? The second part of Proverbs 22:6 gives us hope. It says, when he is old, he will not depart from it. Now, don't get me wrong here. This isn't a guarantee. I know that. But it's a principle of investment. Whether or not our children do stick with it when they're old, that's on them. But whether or not we teach them and train them and give them the tools to stick with it is on us. So we must be intentional in our efforts, because half-hearted attempts just aren't going to cut it. Parents must be the one who in their child training efforts teach consistency by example. And, I completely get it. It's tough. I have 6 kids. Consistency means putting aside my own desires for what I know I need to do. And sometimes that means getting up off the couch after I've been snuggled under a warm, comfy blanket, reading an amazing book, to go settle a dispute between a few children, or to teach a life lesson that needs to be taught in that moment. So it's definitely not easy. But nothing that is really worthwhile is going to be easy. So we have to look beyond the momentary inconveniences. We've got to realize that this training builds good habits for life. It's an eternal investment. Not to mention the fact that character training, if done intentionally, will give you a game plan for guiding your child's character throughout their early years. It can actually relieve your parental frustration with your child's wrong behavior. Why? Well, because you can address the undesirable behavior with a positive lesson on the right character trait he or she should be having. So instead of putting out fires or constantly dealing in situations where we're a referee, we can begin dealing in life lessons, teachable moments. So how do we start character training? Well, let me give you a few pointers. I know everybody's going to do it a little different. And that's what we need to be doing it in a way that fits our family, our style, our faith. I think I've said this several times already, but intentional consistency is really the key. I guess I just can't say that enough. If we try to teach a lesson and then the next time they act out or exhibit that wrongful behavior that we're trying to eliminate, we don't reinforce that lesson, we've lost a teachable moment and actually have reinforced a wrong character trait. So that inconvenient aspect of staying consistent is vital. And when you get down to the nitty-gritty and you're ready to create a game plan, so to speak, for your character training method, you'll want to work through a few steps. And trust me, doing this will really help you be intentional and consistent. Because if you've already thought through your game plan and done your homework, then it's simply referring back to it to help you in a tough moment, in a tough situation. So first thing I want you to do is to assess your situation. Just like we've had to learn in homeschooling, we need to learn about our children, their learning styles, what they're passionate about, what motivates them. We need to know about our children before we can teach them well, right? So the same thing is true in this situation. Take some time to do some reconnaissance. Watch, take notes on your child's behavior for at least a week. When you do this, you can track the good, the bad, the ugly, and make sure you record details about when, where, and who they're involved with when the behavioral moments occur. Then you're going to start brainstorming, creating a game plan, so to speak. So you want to grab your notes, a cup of coffee, go somewhere quiet. Personally, I remember taking some time to pray before I started on this. Why, you might ask? Well, because what I was doing wasn't something trivial. It was something so important, so vital to my effort of raising my children that I needed some wisdom. So I prayed, I reviewed my notes. I asked God to help me look for root causes and connections between my child's behavior and the root character trait that I needed to work on. So I like to make a 3-column list detailing negative behaviors that need corrected, the non-existent character traits that I needed to teach, and then the 3rd column, I put the good behaviors that I needed to build on and reinforce. So I brainstormed ways then, or lessons that would reach the heart of the child to motivate them to change. I focused on the positive when teaching the lesson and correcting the negative behavior. Remember, this is really important. This really struck home to me. A negative behavior is often a misused positive character trait. Just like a very honest person can tend to be brutal or harsh, remember that at the heart of it is a good character trait, that character trait of honesty. So in that lesson that we're teaching our child, when they're brutal or harsh, we can teach them about the good character trait and how we need to keep it in check. I also take time to name and define each character trait that I feel needs addressed. I usually do this on that 3-column chart. So if I have time, I'll create a quick guide for for the character lessons and customize it to each child. So you've done your homework, you've watched the child, you've brainstormed, you've made your 3-column plan of the different character traits that need to be worked on. And then you can kind of define each character trait within that. I like to go ahead and just make that 3-column chart into a nice reference tool that I can use when I'm in the middle of a heated situation. Anything that will help me remain objective and calm and allow the moment to be a teachable moment is very important. And so something like this chart is perfect for that. It can bring me back to objectivity in a touchy moment. All right. And then you're going to want to implement this training plan, this game plan. So remember, the source of the issue is the heart. Pray and seek to train them using good, solid principles in God's word. The Proverbs is a wonderful place to go to for basic principles, for character traits. There's a lot of good stuff in there. The heart, and a great example is Proverbs 16:23 says, "The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips."